I'd like to now call on the Acting Vice President of International Programs, Herb McLane, to present his report.
Thank you for that introduction and your earlier remarks about the new old guy. I suppose years in this industry have contributed to this mass of gray hair that Ted has yet to catch up to fully.
He dyes his hair. That's the
He dyes his hair.
No. I want more gray, more respect.
But Gib is right. I am the new old guy, and it's a pleasure to come to CBEF, and it's a pleasure to come to work with my longtime friend and colleague Ted. And I'm approaching, or just eclipsed rather, 100 days. So I expect, Ted, that while you've been patient up until this point, that one of these days you're going to expect something meaningful out of me. I'd like to thank all of you as well for coming here today. As Cam mentioned, we appreciate your support and active engagement. And so your time is valuable, and so we truly appreciate that. I think for some of you in the audience, and there are many familiar faces that know me, you'll know that my background is steeped in agriculture and this industry in particular, and that my background is primarily genetics and production, although I've had a long history as well as a CBEF in terms of animal health, market access, government relations, international market development. And so I hope that some of those experiences and skills that I've been trying to hone over a career have bring some measure of value to Canada Beef Export Federation. It's my pleasure to highlight our 9-10 programs, and I apologize in advance if A, I'm too long, B, I duplicate what's already been said or what is to follow, and 3, any inaccuracies that may exist. Legitimately, they may be a result of reporting period or simply my mistake. So I'll preface my remarks with that. I'd be remiss, I think, if I might take a moment, Mr. Chairman, to also acknowledge Jeff Adams. Congratulations, Jeff, on the Jim Graham Award. It's a perfect choice. It's well-deserved, and folks, this man is indeed a national treasure, and it's been a pleasure to work with you over these many years, particularly on BSE files. Achievements today, as Cam mentioned, there have been many. And with our vision of 2020, perspective on export prosperity, we're looking for more, higher, and better. My role, replacing Chenye, who has big shoes to fill. I think they're about 13, yeah, something like that. Has been an interesting curve, but it's supported in many, many ways, both in Calgary and by the international directors in our offices. And Gib had mentioned the display materials are at the back. They're an optical presentation, of course, and representative of the work that these folks do for us. But, of course, they're the tip of the iceberg with respect to all of the work, as you know, that they contribute to the export of Canada beef into this organization. Later, they will share specific details about their markets and offer food for thought as to the opportunities that exist, I'm sure. And I will also touch not only on those key markets, but touch as well on some comments on Russia, Middle East, and European Union. We all know that the development of export markets is complex. In order to be successful, it requires a collaborative approach involving the focus and creative input from individuals from both the private as well as the public sectors. Our international office personnel, the management and staff in Calgary, all of you as members, and many others are integral to a collaborative approach which is required. And in my brief tenure with CBEF, I'm impressed by the passion, the dedication, the loyalty, and the professionalism, as well as the skill that is inherent in this organization. The downturn in the international community over the past 3 years, among other factors, including incomplete access to priority markets and a relatively high Canadian dollar has created many challenges, as we know, for our industry. And despite these obstacles, we can identify many positive results in terms of exports in 2009 and particularly in 2010 to date. The strategy, the programs, the projects, and the activities of CBEF and our team have contributed greatly to that success. For calendar year 2009, beef and veal exports to the priority destinations of Japan, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, Macau, as well as Mexico, grew nearly 10% in volume year over year and held or increased in value. Now, Lottie, let's see if I can do this. In the first 6 months of this calendar year, as Cam also reported and also Chuck touched on, exports of beef and veal to these same markets has dramatically jumped by a factor of 50% and 70% in volume and 70% by value over the identical reporting period of 2009. These impressive statistics are in part the direct result of the activities of CBEF and the team and the approaches of the organization. And this screen on a slide is a table of collated key market Canadian beef and veal import data into destination country, which is readily available in a month-by-month breakdown on our website under Member Services, Market Intelligence, and managed by Mauricio in our office. This table reflects the year-on-year growth in our key markets with the exception of Macau, as our efforts were intensely focused on increasing our market share in Hong Kong, and this was achieved. The decrease in Macau should be short-lived, and Stephanie Dye will elaborate on how the Macau figures will reverse in the coming year. The development of the international program is a result of an annual and ongoing consultation started, as we talked about yesterday in our strategy session, as well as the ability to be nimble under certain circumstances. The strategy is executed through a number of key elements, including the core activities, technical market access, retail and food service promotions, the seminars, the missions, the food shows, the partner program, and the related activities. And Chuck earlier mentioned more than 340 different promotional activities. Well, when I add them up and combine other activities, individual activities, and make the tally, I think I come up with 574 different individual, unique, separate promotions by CBEF. Canadian Beef Advantage, as you've heard, while the Canadian Beef Export Federation has traditionally promoted the advantages of Canadian beef to consumers and the trade in international markets, in support of the CBA initiative, Canadian Beef Advantage Initiative, the Federation is a full partner in that program and has now fully implemented the CBA branding strategy. The CBA brand is utilized in all markets and all retail and food service promotions and is incorporated into advertising and point-of-sale materials, among other applications, and of course, some of those are at the back of the room. One thing you won't have heard about yet today is the sale promotion recommendation process. You will know from Chenier that a few years ago that this was implemented, and we refer to it internally as the SPR process. It authorizes promotional projects in all of the international markets in which we have representation. It's also a performance appraisal tool, and in support of each respective country strategy, all CBEF international offices submit one of these SPR forms to Calgary prior to conducting any promotional activity. These promotions typically fall into one of two major categories, either retail or food service. And required information in the SPR includes a project description, a budget, the identification of partners, and projected benefits, including the list for sales and other information. And once the activity is completed, a report is submitted to Calgary, and the project is evaluated for further effectiveness and further consideration of program development. And delivered through our international offices, a total of 161 SPR activities were conducted during fiscal year 9-10. Results demonstrate that the promotions are effective in identifying new retail and food service partners, building loyalty with existing partners, and providing incremental sales of beef and veal products over base levels, and increasing awareness amongst trade reps and their consumers.